What's going on, everybody? It is that time again. The Sooners Illustrated Podcast, episode 234 on this Tuesday, December 16th, 2025. Josh Callaway, Collin Kennedy with you on a Tuesday. Been a while. 8 days since our last show. A very big gap for us. Just a busy week. State championship football in Oklahoma. Bedlam basketball on Saturday. And then the media, we're off and running with the college football playoff. We had stuff on Sunday. We had a full day yesterday, Monday. That's all there on the YouTube channel if you didn't see it. Brent Venables, Ben Arbuckle, Jovantae, a bunch more players. We even had an open practice yesterday. We're going to get into all of it. The playoff is coming. 3 days, Oklahoma hosts Alabama, one of the biggest games ever played in Norman. We're looking forward to it. A bunch of question marks. R. Mason Thomas, Jake Maikkula, Jovantae Barnes. We're going to talk about all of it on the show today. We have a bunch of recruiting stuff to catch up on. Also, another commit for Oklahoma that we have not yet gotten to talk about. We'll do so today. State championship football, like I said, in Oklahoma and Texas, and a little Bedlam hoops sprinkled in there as well. It's a loaded Tuesday show, and we're going to have a lot to talk about here on the program today. A reminder as we get started, or right before we get started, you can subscribe to Sooners Illustrated at oklahoma.247sports.com. Use the promo code SoonersPod60, all one word for listening on podcast. Get you 60% off a VIP membership for a year to Sooners Illustrated and the entire 24/7 Sports Network. The playoff chase is upon us. If they win, we're all heading out to Pasadena. So be with us every step of the way. The content has been flowing at Sooners Illustrated, and so be able to sure jump in. Portal season coming up. So a great reason to jump in and be a part of the fun over at Sooners Illustrated. All right, Collin, let's do it. We're going to be there on Friday night. You, me, and Tom Green. It's finally coming up. You know, this gap is not nearly as big as it used to be when they make the playoff. It used to be like a month, but it's felt like a month, frankly. It's taken forever to get here to this game, but we're getting closer. Just 3 days away. Oklahoma hosting Alabama on Friday night in Norman. It's starting to feel real. And we talked to Brent Venables yesterday, along with Jovantae, Ben Arbuckle, like I said, a bunch of players last couple of days. And you're starting to feel it a little bit. You know, it's cool being on campus right now. There's playoff signage everywhere. There's a big, huge sign on the South Oval right now that says, like, Oklahoma fans, you're in the playoff. Friday night needs to be the most electric atmosphere ever created. Like, it's a big sign, like, just pumping up students when they walk to finals right now. It's crazy, man. It's exciting. Vibe check for you. Where are you at? It's getting real. We're 3 days out from this thing. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a scene on Friday night.
Yeah, the best way that I can sum it up is the first week, once the playoff field was announced, I'm excited, right? I'm excited for the program. I'm excited for the fan base. I'm excited for us because it's going to be great for business. I'm excited about covering and being a part of a college football playoff game, the first ever of its kind in Norman. The second week, I'm content. I'm chilling. I'm doing what I like to do. I like to watch some tape. I like to make some phone calls. I like to consume the chaos elsewhere because, man, the coaching carousel, the portal already kind of tuning up. It was nice to just sit down, watch some film, and, like, observe the landscape and the buildup. And now as week 3 is hit, I'm a little nervous. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a little bit nervous. I think for me, the last thing I would say, it has not only hit me that a playoff game is coming up, Josh, they're facing Alabama again. I know. I think that reality has set in, and the layers of that within this game is starting to sink in as well, and it's building up that anticipation as we get closer to kick.
It's really exciting. I'm really fired up for Friday. It's finally, just like I kind of said before, like, it's starting to feel real finally, like, okay, we're going to do this. Like I said, all three of us are going to be there on Friday night. It's going to be an all-time scene. You know, they were talking. Owen Heineke said that they've gotten Sooner Vision, the stadium ops have gotten suggestions from the players on song choices, and they put in like extra lights for some light show stuff. So we're set up for, I think, an all-time atmosphere on Friday night. It's going to be unbelievable. I think everyone's really excited. I know there was a lot of questions of, like, can they still play their intro video? Can they still play Many Man? Like, all that's on the table. From what I've been told, like, it's going to be a normal home game. So pretty much. So, like, it's going to be a scene, and I'm excited for it. And really, it feels like the time off talking to these guys has been good, especially for the offense, to rest some guys. I think for Jovantae, a little bit of a mental reset for him. And, you know, it's kind of, you know, talking to these guys the last couple of weeks, it's been kind of that balance of, like, they're locked in, they're excited, but they're also relaxed. Like they're kind of in that sweet spot right now. It's definitely not a jokey, like we're just happy to be here, but they also are kind of like they're very sure of themselves. So it's exciting. I'm looking forward to it. And the big question really is just offensively, what is realistic to expect? Like now that they've had some time off and hopefully rested some guys up, and you know, like I just said with John, the mental reset, like what's fair to expect offensively? Because the defense is going to bring, right? We know that. So it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun on Friday. We'll have the game preview, of course, on Thursday. There won't be a traditional Thursday show just because of the condensed week, but we'll have the game preview on Thursday with the two of us and Tom Green. A lot to talk about then. We have a lot to talk about today as well. Collin, I want to get your thoughts on, we're still on full injury watch with, I think there may be more guys to kind of sift through. Obviously, guys like Xavier Robinson have been playing, but they've been beat up. Torrey Blaylock in that same boat. We'll talk more about the running backs in a second. But the two big ones right now are R. Mason Thomas and Jake Maikkula. Starting with R. Mason, we got to see practice a little bit yesterday, and there's footage of it on the YouTube channel. I got a couple of shots of R. Mason. Seemed to be moving pretty good to me. Again, it's a different than in practice in shorts as opposed to against Alabama, in a playoff game. I fully acknowledge that. But there's been like this buildup for him trying to get back. Jake Maikkula, meanwhile, that infection that had him in the hospital, obviously the week of the LSU game, Fabechi Wiwu had to kick inside. He was there, not super active, and he wasn't doing nothing. He wasn't like off to the side, but he was kind of slow playing it in a little bit that we saw yesterday. Where are you at with these two guys? Both, I mean, you don't have to get into like if you think they're going to play or not necessarily, but I guess if it is Fabechi and if they don't have R. Mason, just what that does for you. It's going to be very interesting to see if these guys can get out there and play on Friday. It's a big storyline. Yeah,
and I think an important piece here as well is we're going to start getting availability reports for this week of the playoff, and it starts tonight. And so at time of recording, the official status has yet to be revealed. But like Josh mentioned, there is now literal video and caught in 4K of these two guys going through some things. And for Maikkula at the start here, you asked me how I feel if they don't play. I'm just going to be honest with you. Maikkula, the infection stuff to me is I don't want to say interesting, but it's very notable because I think we forget sometimes what happens to your body whenever you deal with a very serious infection like that. One that literally put him in the hospital. I mean,
he looked, I thought, a little slimmer yesterday.
I didn't want to dive into it too much, but
sure,
there's reason to believe that the strength has been sapped a little bit because that's just what happens to you when you get, taken out like that by that serious of an infection. I mean, it was something that he had to address with serious medical care. And I think it'd be one thing, honestly, if we're talking about a different position, but to play at a spot like center in the offensive line, I mean, if he is not a full go, not just, from like a true health standpoint, but just like physically in general, if he's not at his typical full strength, it would be very hard for me to see him playing this game, especially off the heels of Fabechi playing as well as he did against LSU.
Yeah, so what I wonder for Jake, I'm with you. I wonder if there's a world where he can at least be available for this game, but not starting. Because, I mean, after Fabechi, what are the options at center? They don't really have a lot, right? It's Owen Hollenbeck maybe, or you get thin. So I wonder if there's a world where Maikkula is available, like in an emergency, basically. If Fabechi were now, Fabechi's been the most durable guy on this team the last 2 years, but you can't help but that's a question for me. Could he at least be available, not starting? They don't plan to play him, but in a pinch. Maybe you throw him out there. That's a question for me.
Well, no, and I'm glad you brought that up because number one, Maikkula's in helmet and shoulder pads taking ghost snaps behind the offensive line of Fabechi. So he's prepping as if he might play. That's important to note. And then number two, I think that's the dream scenario is I don't know that Maikkula needs to play, you would like for him to play because that naturally then slots everyone where their preferred positions are. But I also think I'm glad you brought that up because as John Mateer noted, like if he can't go, if he's not available, they have been working Ryan Foje at center. And
yeah, that was interesting.
I think that I mean, look, a lot has already been asked of the true freshman to play tackle and guard, go back and forth, play in these, high profile environments and just step in the blink of an eye. That's the world you're looking at, right? Like that would be the backup plan in theory if something happens there and Maikkula isn't a go off the infection. So I'm glad you brought that up.
No doubt. No, I mean, if you made me, pick one right now, more optimistic, it definitely be R. Mason of the two. R. Mason, and we've been talking a lot, ever since that injury. I think that there was an effort to ramp up for Alabama the first time, wasn't able to be ready. And I think after that, they kind of went more into a slow play mode for this. It was the goal to try and play. And I know there's been some thought like, should he play? Will he play? This is a guy who's got an NFL career ahead of him, all that good stuff. I can say with pretty strong certainty that he's trying to play. Like that's the goal, right? Is to get him out there. I don't know to what degree he's going to, what he'll look like and what kind of a snap count or what's realistic right now on Tuesday. Like Collin said, we'll have availability reports tonight. Will give us an idea. But Collin, if they could get R. Mason out there, even if it's for, 15 to 20 snaps. I mean, this is a guy that's elite. He was all SEC first team despite missing the last month, basically. Like the guy is a game changer. And Taylor Wine's been unbelievable. And Marvin Jones has been really good. And Danny Okoye and PJ Adebawore have certainly had their moments as well. But R. Mason, he's, like I've said many times, he's the best guy on this team, in my opinion, offense or defense. And so it's huge if he can go. Like I said, the little bit of practice we got to see, he was moving pretty good. He did have a, what'd you call it? Like a sleeve type thing.
Leg sleeve. Yeah.
And so, I'm very interested to see what that availability report looks like for him. And if he could get out there, that'd be obviously a huge deal if he was able to play on Saturday. Or Friday. That goes without saying.
I think that he's going to play. I think maybe I should say this. He's going to be under the assumption that he is playing up until kickoff happens.
I agree. Now, I think it's trending that way. Yeah.
I think what the important layer here is that the nature of his injury is one that is extremely unpredictable. And that's why we sit here today having this discussion.
Sure.
Right? There have been moments throughout the season where, as he's navigated rehab, it's felt a little bit optimistic, and then it hasn't felt so optimistic at other points. And that's the thing is it's one of those things where it was a quad injury. It's not one that you ever necessarily have like a firm read on because it can be setback prone.
Yeah. They're tricky.
There's a lot of ebbs and flows. And I think that they've had to kind of go back and forth with that while also understanding, hey, like if we just play this carefully, it's probably towards the back end of your typical rehab timeline for an injury of this nature. And hopefully, because of that, he is as primed as he would be able to be to go play in this game. Now, I'll say this. If he doesn't play, we've seen them navigate multiple contests now without him out there. And while I think that it is very – yeah, including the Alabama game – it's fair to be like, oh, they'll be fine. You would certainly like arguably your best overall football player to play in a game that, literally has win or go home implications.
Sure.
And he didn't play against Alabama last time around. And depending on how much time we have too, it's like Alabama's starting to get healthy as well for this game. So if Alabama's going to get healthy, Alabama's coming in with a chip on its shoulder. You want to be as close to full strength as humanly possible. And if you get arguably your strongest, part, your strongest layer to the team and R. Mason Thomas back, what a boost that would be for them. I am curious to see how this goes over the next few days. And I really do think it's kind of the day-to-day thing, to be honest. Sure.
Availability reports start tonight, like Collin said. So keep an eye on Sooners Illustrated tonight tomorrow night, Wednesday, and then certainly Thursday. And we'll have the game preview on Thursday with Tom, and we'll get more into this kind of 2 days later from now, sort of where we're kind of at with both of these guys. But it's a major storyline. There's no doubt about that. And Brent Venables did not really offer much of an update at all. It was, I believe it was our friend George Stoya asked him, do you anticipate them practice this week? And he said, I do. And that was the update. So do with that what you will. And we'll keep an eye out for the availability. I can never say availability report for some reason. Availability report tonight for those guys. The other big question mark or storyline is, of course, in the running back room where, we talked about at the end of the year, just totally beat up. I mean, Xavier Robinson, the knee sprain, and then, he barely played against LSU. It looked like he maybe had kind of hurt it again in that game. Torrey Blaylock with his shoulder. We saw Jay Knott getting into the game against Missouri. Like, it's been kind of dire. They've had some time off to rest. We were at practice yesterday. Xavier Robinson still had a big brace on that knee. Again, we're not out there too much. So you don't want to overread, but he didn't look like he was moving exceptionally well. Again, big brace on the knee. Torrey Blaylock, it was never a movement thing because it was his shoulder that was really the biggest problem. So kind of hard to tell when you're running on air for him. But the one that stuck out is certainly Jovantae Barnes, who was practicing yesterday. He has not played since September, right? He played his 4 games, and then he stopped playing to preserve that red shirt. In the playoff, these games do not count towards your red shirt. Jovantae Barnes could play and still redshirt this season and be back next year, whether it's at Oklahoma or somewhere else. Brent Venables was asked yesterday, could you see Jovantae having a role this week? He said potentially. Collin, this is interesting and fascinating because Jovantae Barnes has not played in a very long time, but he has been around the team, and they kind of need him, right? I mean, they need him. The running back room is still beat up. It's better than it was 3 weeks ago because these guys have had some time off, but they're still beat up. And, look, we talked about at the time. Jovantae Barnes, he is what he is as a ball carrier. He's not overly speedy, can't really make guys miss too much, but he's a good pass blocker. And you know what you're going to get. Like, he's a veteran guy. He's been around a long time. He doesn't really make mistakes, right? He's kind of limited in just his abilities, but he's not going to make mental mistakes. He knows what he's doing out there, right? Could you see Jovantae Barnes getting on the field this weekend? And what would it mean if he did? Because we haven't seen this guy in 2 months, but here we go. He might very well be out there on Friday. It's kind of crazy.
I actually think this could end up being a pretty debated topic across the fan base here on the show, right, and then even internally in those walls, because it's like, on one hand, your running back room is in a tough spot. We don't need to rehash all of that. There's X-Rob, sure, Torrey banged up, Viat situation.
And he was out there practicing yesterday still too, that's the other thing, weird thing with Ott is that it's like he's been around. I mean, he literally got into the game against Missouri. It was crazy. Was that Missouri or LSU? Missouri, right?
Missouri.
Or was it LSU?
No, it was LSU game. It was the LSU game.
I'm getting my Tigers mixed up. Yeah, it was LSU whenever he came in and then Deion Burks.
They scored.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
And he did not go through senior day that day, which is just
crazy. And he was the first one going through drills yesterday, which, again, I don't know if that really means anything. Fans noticed it as well. But, like, they go through, they're doing, running through the dummies or whatever, and he's the first one. And it's like.
It probably doesn't mean anything. That being said, if that was a move by the Oklahoma coaching staff, and this is me big braining it, like, hey, let's make sure Ott's first in line. And then if they watch the highlights, they got to prep for him. That would be some chess. I'm not going to lie.
Sure.
Now, that's also me joking a little bit, but here's what's very serious. I think on one hand, it is very tough knowing that, like, for example, Xavier Robinson with a sprained knee should be typically on the back end of a recovery timetable if it was a minor knee sprain. It does not appear to have resided, the issue.
Sure.
So that would now lead me to believe that knee sprain is a little bit more serious than maybe a lot of us anticipated.
Well, he got it happened against Alabama, right? And then he got how many carries against LSU? Like 5 or 6, and then that was it. We didn't see him again. That's why Ott was in the game.
He had, I think it was against Missouri, his first touch didn't come until the second quarter, and then he ended up with about 18 and 20 touches in the Missouri game, but that was basically them saying, all right, we try to protect him. We're not doing much on offense. Well, let's just find a way to get this guy involved.
Only 6
Blaylock.
carries.
Yeah, like we again, they have tried to protect those backs so that they can be healthy for this game, and clearly it has not panned out the way that they had hoped. I think a lot of us had hoped, right?
Sure.
Which is unfortunate because you would like to see those two younger backs in Blaylock and Robinson at a full go in a national stage like this. So here's why I bring all that up. Like, Barnes is not only in a position where they probably need him, but you kind of know what you're getting in him. That is where I think the debate starts. Is it's like, how much does he bring to the table? I think that Barnes as a blocker brings a ton of value. I think Barnes is just kind of like a solid 3-4 yards in a cloud of dust kind of guy. And if that doesn't tickle your fancy, then like whatever. That being said, I also don't know, Josh, like if there are people out there going, well, I'd be really uncomfortable putting a guy out there all of a sudden in a high-stakes game if he hasn't been playing for this team in a long time. I don't know that I'm all that comfortable with it either. Like, it's a tough spot to be in, but, man, if they can't run the ball on Friday, what else is the answer? I am curious to see how this sorts out, and I don't know where you stand on it, but it legitimately may be one of those things where you kind of have to force your hand a little bit and put them in there because they're seemingly at this time in a little bit of a bind.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, look, I've always liked Jovantae Barnes. Brent Venables was asked, I can't remember what it was. I should have looked it up, but he was asked, about guys shutting it down and redshirting midseason, and he was asked directly about Jovantae Barnes, about where he kind of stood with the team, and Brent Venables said he's in good standing. So I think there clearly has always kind of been an idea of like, if we get to the playoff, we might need you. And here we are, right? And I think that they need him. I don't think Jovantae, and again, just kind of reading between the lines, I don't think that he necessarily wanted to like shut down and quote unquote quit on the season. It's just kind of the nature of the way that this thing is set up right now, that if he's going to come back for another year, he saw his role sliding back, that he kind of had to make a tough decision. Same thing for Kendall Dolby, who we're not going to see. It's a tricky spot. But I think at the end of the day, if Xavier Robinson is still banged up and Troy Blaylock is still banged up, you kind of need them because you don't have anyone else. I mean, unless you're going to throw Jay Knott out there, you don't have anyone else. Taylor Tatum was out there working with DBs. Like, he's not in the mix. They don't have another viable option, and so I think it's a very real war that we see Barnes. I don't know how many carries he's going to get, but I think he's going to be on the field probably on Friday, which by
the way, the Taylor Tatum DBs thing is another part of this too, where
I don't know what that was about. That was weird.
It's like, well, if Tatum's healthy, it should be him over Barnes, no question, right? And then it's like, well, he's over there with the defensive backs. So, man, it's crazy how some of this stuff, I don't want to say comes full circle, but it's like a situation you thought was basically put to rest in that presser where they asked about Barnes, and Brent was like, yeah, he's shutting it down, but he's fine with the team. All of a sudden now it's like everyone's looking at him again. And I
crazy.
I don't know that there is a right answer here, because that's the other thing too, is it's like, I think in this, there's this assumption that he's going to step right in and be effective when I can't guarantee that, I mean, let's just call it what it is too. There were portions of the fan base that were frustrated when he was getting the ball.
Yeah.
I don't like, that's the thing is it's like, all right, well, if he does play and they do get like on top of all of this, what does he even look like? I have no answer to that test question, and I don't know that anyone does.
Yeah, and we talked about it before we started recording, but I truthfully don't know how much he's been practicing or like been around. Like, he was practicing yesterday, we know that because we saw it. But throughout this last 2 months, I don't know to what degree he's been around. We know that, but like to what degree has he been out there doing stuff, with the other guy? I really don't know. So it's an interesting storyline. It's going to be fascinating. I mean, we're going to be watching him close on Friday, see if he can, if he looks like a guy who's going to play in warm-ups, and then if he gets into this game, it's going to be extremely interesting. But we'll wait and see. We'll talk about that more on Friday as well. The only thing I had from the practice too that is maybe noteworthy, maybe not. Jovantae did not have the thing on his thumb. Maybe that means nothing. Again, we don't know for a fact he's been practicing with it. Whenever he talks to us on Monday nights after practice, he has it on, or he has had it on throughout the season, which would lead me to think that he has been practicing with it. Obviously, he's been playing with it ever since he came back at the Cotton Bowl. He didn't have it on yesterday, though. Does that mean anything? I don't know. You do that with what you will. You read into it however you want. But maybe something of note there. Does he feel more does he feel more confident in his thumb that he doesn't need to wear it anymore? Or is it just like this was always the plan? Is he still gonna maybe he still wears it on Friday? Who knows? But that was somewhat interesting yesterday. Some fans noticed that, and some members of our VIP board. I actually didn't notice it live. I didn't notice it. I went back and looked at the footage after the fact. It's like, oh, sure enough, But we'll see.
We'll see. Before we move on, I was just going to provide a little bit of a opposite and an injury report on the early week. Now that we're talking about all this stuff very quickly, Alabama, I talked about it. They're getting a little bit healthy. I'm sure some Oklahoma fans might be a little bit curious. The brief overview here is Jam Miller, running back. Seems like he's going to play, was padded up and practicing the other day out there in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
Josh Cuevas, the tight end who played well against Oklahoma, if you'll remember, really damn good football player. He is expected to play, but I believe when Alabama media went out there, Josh, he was on the exercise bike and not out there. Now, they could have easily just trotted him right out there after the fact, but was on the bike. And then LT Overton, defensive lineman, big-time guy up front for the Crimson Tide. Seems a little bit more on the doubtful end of the equation, but something to monitor as these injury reports come out, among other things, for Alabama.
No doubt. And that's the other part of the equation with the availability reports. We certainly peeking in on Alabama's side of things, and we'll bring that up on Thursday as well for the game preview show, which we'll have Thursday. Collin, Tom, and myself will lay it all out, all our final thoughts in the game, and we'll make our final prediction, all that good stuff. That'll be on Thursday, game preview show. Moved up a day, obviously, with the game being on Friday, so keep an eye out for that on Thursday. Very exciting. Looking forward to finally getting to this game on Friday. The full boat, we're all going to be there on Friday, and maybe going out to Pasadena afterward. We'll find out. We'll find out in due time. Let's do some recruiting stuff, and then we'll do some basketball on the back end before we get out of here. Another commit in the last whenever that was. It's a while ago now, but we haven't had a chance to talk about it, which is Elijah Harmon, the 4-star defensive lineman from Inglewood, California. Really good player, Collin, and you could talk about him better than me, but he's a top 200 guy for us at 24/7 Sports, a top 30, 25-ish defensive lineman in the class, a California guy. They continue to do the Cali Sooners thing. Nice get here, it would seem on paper. Collin, talk about Elijah. What kind of a player is this? Certainly, again, on paper, looks like a great get. What say you about this one for Oklahoma in 2027? This class continues to roll. Another big one here.
Well, to your point, something I wanted to bring up, Elijah Harmon is a top 200 overall recruit in the country, plays defensive tackle, a prime position that is typically valued within the rankings. As a top 200 player, 4-star recruit, he is the 6th highest rated commit currently in Oklahoma's class.
Yeah.
That's crazy. They're off to one hell of a start in 27. That's nothing groundbreaking, but just to reiterate, the fact that they add another 4-star top 200 prospect, and he's like the lowest rated 4-star they have already. Insanity. Now, first and foremost, defensive tackle. You're never going to complain about getting a guy at that position early in the equation. I think what you have to talk about here is Elijah Harmon burst onto the scene pretty quickly in the state of California, became a high-profile recruit very quickly, had a pretty loaded top 5 as well. USC, Oregon, a few others in there. And as his prep career went on, he became one of the most coveted defensive tackles, especially out on the West Coast on the recruiting trail. Then he gets hurt, and he is basically forced to miss almost the entirety of his junior season, which then puts him in a little bit of a difficult position because he's used to being this known commodity, and now he's having to kind of navigate a process where all of a sudden he's a little bit more of a question mark. And I think what he told us was pretty significant. He talked about how whenever the injury happened and he was kind of navigating those emotions, he had some people in his camp tell him, hey, man, this is actually going to be a pretty good thing for you because as a highly touted recruit, now that you are hurt with a significant injury, you're going to find out who actually wants you and who doesn't. And he said the school that was the most consistent with him through both health and a significant injury was Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And he said the Todd Bates, that staff, they did an outstanding job of just showing him, hey, man, like you're a priority for us, whether you're healthy right now or not, because Oklahoma knew in a few years he still was going to fit the bill in terms of what they wanted in the evaluation of the position. Through that prioritization, Elijah Harmon also watched Oklahoma's defense. And Harmon talked about, hey, man, like I knew watching them every week and talking to them, his words, they're the best defense in the SEC. And he said, because I had an opportunity to play for a program that actually wanted me and had literally the best defense in a premier conference, another basically exact quote was like, that was too good of an opportunity for me to pass up. I think it's a pretty cool story. I think it's quite a way to get one heck of a get. And in the end, again, man, Oklahoma adds another highly touted 4-star prospect and a player at a premium position. They keep it rolling in 27. It's impressive.
Yeah, to your point, 11th guy in the class as of right now, December 16th. Still a long way to go. Number one, 24/7 Sports Team composite rankings. I mean, that's where this class is right now. And again, it's early. We acknowledge that. But they have 11 guys now. I mean, it's not like it's 2 dudes and, you know, it's super early and they just are the benefit. Like they have a good chunk of this class together. I mean, roughly half. I mean, depending on how many more guys they add or so. But it's a great group. Like you said, you have a guy who's a top 200 player and he's your 6th highest guy right now because of what you have in the offensive line. And then you talk about Crew Jones and these wide receivers. It's a great start. It's a great start, and they just continue to roll with it, and we'll see what they can do. You know, obviously moving forward, you have portal coming up, which we'll get into that stuff here coming up the next few weeks. But the 27 class is, I mean, we keep talking about it. It's shaping up to be really, really good, and we don't know if it's going to hold on at number 1, obviously, but top 5 or whatever is completely on the table. It would seem right now, you know, and we'll see. Long way to go till signing day next December, but exciting stuff, and another great get with Elijah Harmon. Staying at the high school level, so Oklahoma State Championship football just wrapped up. I spent a lot of time last couple of weekends at UCO in Edmond, campus of Central Oklahoma, is where they play the state championship games here in Oklahoma. Great stadium out there, Chad Richardson Stadium. They've done a great job beefing it up, and it's a great venue. Texas State Championship football is this week, starting tomorrow. Little Wednesday football. Collin, if you've been with us last couple of years, just lives at AT&T basically for 4 days, and he'll be providing all the coverage there, all the Oklahoma guys that you know, to see, and not just Oklahoma guys, but obviously in all the championship games, there are tons of dudes who are playing at the next level all over the place. So Collin is very, very busy the next few days. Wrapping up Oklahoma a little bit first, you know, I got a chance to see some guys with Oklahoma ties. We'll start with the obvious, being Xavier Okfaleze, who played in the 2A1 state championship game last Thursday night. His Rejoice Christian Eagles playing against Tonkawa last Thursday night, and a great win for Rejoice, winning a state title. ZZ was awesome in the game. He had 2 touchdowns offensively and a interception as well, playing defense. He was tremendous. You know, it was the first time I had gotten to see ZZ play in person. He's the one guy, for those, if you don't remember, signed Oklahoma in state as a scholarship player in 2026. And he more than looked the part. I mean, great size. And the 2 touchdowns were it was great because they were two completely different touchdowns. One was like a corner route where it was a great throw from Cam Compton-Nero. I'll talk about more in a second. Dropped it in a bucket to him. He was double teamed, just kind of Randy Moss style, like just too big and powerful. And then the second one was a bubble screen that he took about 40 yards down the sideline, making guys miss. Absolutely electric. The interception was unbelievable as well. Great to see him play in person for the first time and get to talk to him afterward. Great personality. He's a guy that OU fans are going to love, I think, in due time. But he was sensational. Collin, I don't think you have not gotten to see CZ in person, I don't think, or have you?
I have not.
Rejoice, that's not exactly a school that's easy to get to. They're up in Tulsa, lower levels. They play in kind of some random places. But it was great getting to see him. He was awesome on last Thursday. He was great.
Yeah, I am very glad that you got a chance to see him. I went to try to go up there to watch him and Cam Compton-Nero at one point this season, but
that's right.
Like you said, they travel all over the place, and the timing worked out to where I ended up somewhere else. And my goal is to get back out there in the spring, but I've been keeping up with the tape and in Xavier, like you saw it. This is a lottery ticket. Like there is so much.
Only 2 years of football, right? 2 years.
Converted basketball player.
He's good.
Like literally had to be convinced to come out and play football by one of his former quarterbacks, and I think it's paying off for him so far. And the payout for Oklahoma could be pretty outstanding. Now, it's going to be interesting. He is a summer enrollee as opposed to an early enrollee. And him still,
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so he's going to need some time because he'll be a little bit, relative, but behind the track compared to some of the other classmates. But once he gets in the summer, I think this is going to be someone who, as he learns the game at the collegiate level, adjusts. They really just need to hone in on his skill set. He's got every God-given ability, as you saw and everyone else saw. And that's why he's graded out as an 89.3 with, a borderline 4-star recruit. He has all the ceiling in the world. And as long as he makes that transition effectively, what is there not to like about this guy? I'm very excited to see him make the move.
It was great getting to see him and get to talk to him a little bit. Like I said, great personality. Had an OU sticker on his helmet in the game, which was cool. And they won a state title. I mentioned his quarterback, a couple other guys who I saw I want to bring up real quick that are OU targets or have OU offers. Cam Compton-Nero, we just mentioned, Rejoice's quarterback. He's a young guy, 2028, just a sophomore. Now, he's quarterback for Rejoice. He also plays defense, which is not shocking, that low level. A lot of guys play both ways. But he's looked at more as a defensive player at the next level. This is not a guy that I was super familiar with, frankly, going in. I kind of heard the name a little bit. Collin had mentioned before, but this is a top 65 player for us at 24/7 Sports in the country. Okay, I mean that's in the country. As an athlete, he plays a little bit of safety, defensive back for Rejoice as well. That's probably more his future, but really good athlete, and he was making plays on both sides. He was very fun to get to see, and not a bad quarterback too. I mean, I wouldn't rule out that being in his future if he wanted to. I mean, just a sophomore, he's got a lot of future. I mean, the touchdown throw to ZZ was a dot. So, I mean, he can play a little bit. And the other big one was Case Alexander, a guy that Collin talked about on the show before, the Washington tight end / linebacker. He's a 2027 guy, so he's got another year, for his senior year. Washington played in the 2A, what were they? That was the 2A1, excuse me. Rejoice was the A1. I said that wrong before. 2A1 was Washington Jones on Friday night, and they actually lost to Jones. They'd won 3 straight state titles, so they got upset a little bit by the Jones Longhorns on Friday night. But Case was awesome. Case was really, really good, making catches over the middle. He's what stuck out to me defensively. First off, he was everywhere, right? He's wreaking havoc all the time. He's one of those types of players, but he has such strong hands. Like, obviously, he's a good tackler, but like if he gets his hands on you, you're going down. Like that was kind of the thing that stood out to me. There was more than once where he just kind of reached out and was able to get a hand of someone's jersey, and like that was it for them. Like he would corral them. He was excellent. But Case obviously is a guy that we talked about before, someone that Oklahoma really covets. He's a top 30 linebacker for us at 24/7 Sports, one of the best players in Oklahoma in next year's class, 2027. And so he was excellent, obviously. His family lineage, everyone knows, obviously. And great to see him in person for the first time, Collin. He was as advertised. He was one that everyone was kind of excited to see on Friday night. He was kind of the talk of the stadium a little bit, like, Case Alexander, let's see what he does. And his team didn't win, but not because of him. He was excellent on Friday. So good to get eyes on him for the first time.
Camion Comptonero is the number one player in the state of Oklahoma already in 2028 for his 24/7 Sports, and arguably one of Oklahoma's early priority targets within that cycle, and for good reason. I think Cam's a stud. Cam has a great personality. I think Cam has all the ceiling and athletic ability you could imagine. I really am excited to see how he continues to grow within his prep career. I think the world of this guy. I think that, I've told the story in the past. I got a call from a college staff like a year or two ago, and they were like, "Hey man, what do you know about this Camion Comptonero guy?" And that was well before he'd blown up, and he's been on the radar for a lot.
13 offers. I mean, as a sophomore, and heavy hitting offers. I mean, yeah, some SEC teams mixed in here, Tennessee and Texas A&M, Missouri. Also, he did have, not to discourage OU fans, it's very early. He had a Tennessee towel that he was using in this game. But yeah, he's a big time athlete, clearly.
I mean, and I will say too, Tennessee towel, as crazy as it is to say, I'm not going to call it. He visited Oklahoma this season like 7 times. It was crazy how often he was on campus. And so Oklahoma pressing there. Case Alexander, quickly. I think that is one of your potentially safest bets for an in-state commit in 2027 for Oklahoma next summer. I think that Oklahoma is going to be in a very interesting position at linebacker in 2027, because if you think about it, you got Taven Epps, Cooper Witten. It will have a spot as long as as long as he will pick up the phone, and there are a few others out there. But the state of Oklahoma, like the linebacker talent, is very fascinating. Colton McComb, so on and so forth. But Alexander, very much part of that. I think that if you're looking for, like if I were a betting man, who would be like one of the safest bets for Oklahoma to potentially go out and find that, maybe like Xavier Okafuluweze, a guy like best odds to be the in-state commit for OU next cycle. I mean, obviously they already have guys like Hackett and Penny, but like who would be the next? Alexander feels like potentially the next Okie that OU might be able to land. It'll be tough because Alexander's so highly touted, but I really like where Oklahoma is with him, and you can see why they're very high on his ability. I also think Brent went out there to Washington to see him like twice this year. So they're showing you what they think about that guy.
No doubt. One bonus one too, I'll throw in there as well. Last weekend, the weekend before, Carl Albert, another state title for them. No shock. They dominated the 5A title game. That they are what they are. They're a machine. Their running back, Elijah Matthews, Gatorade Oklahoma Player of the Year this year. Just a junior, so he's back next year. A 2027 guy. I don't think he's really blown up too much yet. Doesn't seem like. I think he has like a North Texas offer, I want to say. Really good player. Okay, really good player. He was Gatorade Player of the Year in Oklahoma. He's a Carl Albert guy, so like you already kind of know he took over that championship game. Just a name to file away. If you're not, I'd be interested to wonder. We know what Brett Venables thinks about Carl Albert. Just keep it in mind. Keep it in mind.
And if I remember correctly, Bixby went ahead and got it done again.
They did. Now also my alma mater gave him a game. It was a game. It was competitive into the fourth quarter, which that's a victory in and of itself. But it was another championship for Bixby.
So congrats to Caden Penny. Yeah,
a couple of weekends of state championship football. Yeah, it was great. A lot of good games, and weather wasn't that bad. You're talking about outside in December in Oklahoma. It can be. There was a couple of games that were real cold, but for the most part, not that bad. Some pretty good ones. I know it'll be really nice inside AT&T Stadium. Meanwhile, beautiful 72 degrees at all times. Collin, this week for you, I mean, you got starting tomorrow. You're going to be there, like we said. I guess we can wrap it up certainly next week a bit, some of your takeaways and everything, but look ahead for us. Like, what are some of the guys in particular that you're going to see the next few days that you'll be talking about next week or that you anticipate you'll be talking about?
The first thing I want to talk about right off the top is congratulations to Bo Bentley for an unbelievable high school career.
Yep.
Lost last week, his first career loss as a starting quarterback at Salina. So
was that the
it is unfortunate.
Wasn't it a close game?
It was, and I should mention they lose, and in that game, Bo Bentley, why I say congratulations. He went down with an injury the last 3 games of the year. Same injury, dealing with a shoulder issue, and he fought through that every single week. Man, we're texting him being like, hey, are you all right? He's like, yeah, it's just a stinger. I'll be back for the next one. And he goes down and he gets back up and he keeps playing. And in this one, man, they're playing against Stephenville, and Salina gets going a little bit. He's playing pretty well with that injury. And then unfortunately he went down again in that game and kind of put a damper on what was otherwise just an unbelievable run for Bo. And I want to start with that. It is a shame that we won't be able to see him in AT&T, but outstanding career for him. And honestly, just I think people know, Bo is a personal favorite of mine. I'm very proud of the kid for fighting through adversity and showing a little bit of that toughness, which is why Oklahoma wanted him to, be their quarterback. So we'll lead off with that. Salina will not be playing in the state championship game, but Bo wraps up his career. Not necessarily a loaded state championship weekend in the state of Texas for Oklahoma guys. I'll talk about a few quickly. That being said, I highly encourage folks to either tune in and watch these games because they're going all day, throw on a TV screen and just watch some ball, because this is like the Super Bowl of high school football in some instances. But also, hey, if you're an Oklahoma fan, you live in the Metroplex, maybe moved out there and you're looking for something to do, buy a $20 ticket and you get access to all 3 games that day. And
heck yeah, that's awesome.
Some of my favorite memories are with my dad when I was younger. We'd buy the ticket and watch all 3 games that day. And it's, especially Saturday, like there's going to be another weekend of potentially 40,000 plus crowds for all those games. So highly encourage y'all to tune in or try to get out and go to the game. I'll be out there as well. Let's talk about a few things here. Frisco Lone Star is going to be playing in the 5A D1 game against Smithson Valley. This is a fascinating matchup. It's kind of a clash of contrasting styles, if you will. Frisco Lone Star, Jeff Rayburn, the head coach, is an OU alumni. They want to go. They want to play high-level offense. Davian Gross, Oklahoma made a late run at him, ended up going with Florida. He'll be playing. Ryder Mix, he's not going to play. He is out with an injury. But there are a few other players for Frisco Lone Star. Bryant Robinson is a 6'3" corner with an Oklahoma offer, likes Clemson and a few other high-level places. He's going to be playing out there. Frisco Lone Star and Smithson Valley is going to be a fun one to watch. Carthage is playing in 4A D2. There are a couple former OU targets on that team. I would just encourage you guys to watch Carthage. They are unbelievable. Again, the former home of Kip Lewis.
Right.
And then, look, Saturday is going to be like, if you're looking for something to do and you want to experience some Texas high school football, it is Dallas versus Houston, specifically South Dallas versus kind of this north end portion of Houston in some ways. I'll put it like this. There are 2 teams from 2 respective districts in Texas playing in 2 different state title games. CE King and North Shore in the same district. They're each playing in a state championship game. Then DeSoto, Duncanville playing as well. Yeah. I'll start with 5A D2, which is the morning game. South Oak Cliff, Brian Swanson, the high 4-star offensive tackle.
Yeah.
He's going to be playing. Watch South Oak Cliff play. They are a ground and pound offense. They lean behind Brian Swanson, and he's a really good football player. And then for Richmond Randall, this is a rematch from last year. Landon Williams-Callis, who has a good relationship with DeMarco Murray. I talked about Landon a little bit here on the show. I mean, I think he's the best running back in football right now. I've also mentioned, too, that he has a nickname that is not show appropriate in the state of Texas. but he's that guy. And so that will be a lot of fun. Duncanville, it's Duncanville.
Sure.
And then DeSoto and C.E. King, I'll say this. Sarad Baker. Tune in to watch Sarad Baker. In DeSoto's playoff run alone, I believe he has close to 1,000 yards rushing. Like,
not
has
bad.
taken the world by storm over the past few games. He's been a stud this season, but, I mean, has just put on a clinic and just picked up an Ohio State offer for the run he's been on in the playoffs alone. It's going to be a fun weekend. And, again, that Saturday – we're expecting crowds of 40, maybe close to 50,000 in AT&T. It's going to be.
You going to get there?
I will get there
Saturday after the late night Friday.
My plan is to cover the Oklahoma playoff game Friday night and drive through the night. And I'll give you a pro tip, which makes it a little bit of a pain in my rear end. If you are planning to get there for the 11 a.m. kick and you're not in the parking line by like 7 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning.
Really?
You're going to be waiting. So either fill your car up with gas or get there early. That's the beauty of Texas High School State Championships.
It's going to be awesome. It's really cool. And we'll obviously get some Collin's takeaways from some of the guys next week on the show. But big week coming up. I know it's one of Collin's favorite weeks. A lot of work, but it's, really cool thing. They'll get to play there at AT&T and has to get away from it on Friday to come up here to Norman for the playoff game. But be getting right back down, and we'll wrap that up a little bit next week as the high school football season done in Oklahoma and winding down in Texas. Let's do a little Bedlam hoops on the back end here before we get out of here. It was a good day at the Paycom Center on Saturday. I was there alongside Tom Green. Collin was dialed in as well from home. We'll hit the men and the women both here. They both got wins. I'll give a few quick thoughts on the men. Collin can do so on the women, then we'll get on out of here. For the men, Collin, I mean, before that 4-game stretch where they had Marquette, Wake Forest, Arizona State, and Oklahoma State, Tom and I talked about it. Felt like need 3, and they got 3. Now, the one loss was ugly to Arizona State out in Phoenix. They got kind of ran away from, but they responded. I thought the most encouraging thing, the number one takeaway, was Xavier Brown. That was his best game in an OU uniform, and they need him to be good. He had not really gotten it going just yet, and he had 21 points in this game. He looked really, really good. That was easily the best that he's looked so far in OU uniform, and that was really, really encouraging. I thought Nigel Pack was excellent again. He has been as advertised. Nigel Pack, just a straight-up bucket getter. He's a dog. All that good stuff. He's been excellent so far. By far, Oklahoma's best player so far. We're 10 games in, but he has been that guy for OU. And then, I'll also add, I was a little bit of a skeptic about Jadon Jones. This guy from Long Beach State who they got last year was out all season with injury, redshirt of the year. Then he was out to start this season. And there was this thought of like, when they get Jadon Jones back, like he'll make a big difference. He can shoot, he can play D. And I was kind of like, I don't know. I mean, the guy hasn't played in 2 years. Like I kind of, not that I gave him no chance, but I was, like I said, a little bit of a skeptic. He's been awesome. Okay. He has been everything that he was said to be. He has been giving Porter Moser great minutes off the bench. He's hitting shots. He's playing defense. He's been probably their best bench player, I would say, since he came back. And his minutes have all been huge. So give him credit as well. Kai Rogers, also throw him in there. Clearly looking more comfortable with each passing game. Like it's a work in progress for him. He's a young guy. He's a true freshman, but it's clearly looking a little better each time. He had a one-hand alley-oop from Dayton Forsyth. That was awesome in this game. And so good win for OU. They needed it. They're 7-3 now. They have 3 bye games the next 3 weeks, starting tonight with Kansas City. I'll be at the Lloyd Noble Center for that. And then they start SEC play. And look, I'll say this. The SEC, it's still really, really good. Don't get me wrong. But it's not like it was last year. Last year, 14 teams made the tournament, which was a record. They're not going to be running for that again. Like there's some slop at the bottom of the SEC this year. And so Oklahoma, I think there's some legitimately encouraging pieces here. The key is going to be to avoid those just awful runs like they had in Phoenix that kind of have doomed them. But this is a team that's got some pieces. I think that there's some reasons for optimism. Those early season games, by the way, not looking as annoying as they were at the time. Gonzaga clearly is really good. And Nebraska, we were in Tuscaloosa when they lost to Nebraska, and it was like, what the heck, man? Nebraska is 11-0. They just beat Illinois in Champaign on Saturday. I don't know what they're ranked now. They were 23 before this last weekend, but they definitely moved up after beating Illinois. They're good. That's the takeaway there. Nebraska is good. They are 15 now in the AP poll. So that loss is not looking nearly as bad as it felt at the time. And so, we're still, patience is still a thing with them, with this team, but there's some legitimately encouraging pieces. And I thought Saturday was a nice win. 4 straight, by the way, in Bedlam now for Porter Moser and Oklahoma, 4 in a row. So good stuff for that program. Collin, for the women. Yeah, this was. I stayed for the women's game. This was a beatdown. They crushed. There was some thought like Oklahoma State's good. They're in the top 25. This game was not close. You were dialed into it.
And Jenny Baranczyk now makes it 7 in a row over Oklahoma State.
Yeah, she kind of owns OSU a little bit.
She has not lost to the Bedlam rival. She was fired up in this game. Jenny is awesome. Jenny is awesome.
So elite fit too. I don't know what that best thing.
I was not prepared for you to take a picture and share on the timeline of her Bedlam fit, but I was glad that you did because I was like, she was bringing it out there, right? And so did this team. I mean, in season win streak to 10, I believe that is now the second longest in the program's history. So they're rolling right now. And some quick things for me, Reagan Beers continues to be outstanding. 9th double-double of the season. 54th of her career, and the 7th double-double with 20 points, which leads all of Division I women's basketball. She's been stellar, and Jenny talked about it kind of at the start of the season, like this team was going to need to lean on its veterans compared to maybe some of the depth that has been there in the past. OU continues to just lean on Reagan Beers and let her kind of be the star of the show here, and she is just consistently great and showing it in the stat sheet every single outing. Sahara Williams might be my favorite player to watch. Every game that I watch of this team, I watch Sahara and I go like, she might be, like in a world where there's not like a Reagan Beers or an Elija Chavez, she might be their best player in some ways. What she does on both ends of the floor, the intensity, the activity, the effort, she is a really, really good basketball player. And I thought it was a strong note, too. The in-game commentators were talking about Sahara Williams might be playing her way into the WNBA. And I
think so.
Having watched this team this season, I think that is absolutely the case.
She's been awesome.
And then
so good.
For me, the last thing I would quickly say, this team has had to, like I mentioned, kind of navigate maybe some thinner depth, some youthfulness, things of that nature. Elija Chavez didn't have her best game of the year playing in this Bedlam setting. I think that they kind of anticipated that, to be honest with you, going into the stage. Elija continues to navigate the transition to this level of play. And, Oklahoma also had a decent amount of turnovers, kind of left some stuff on the table, and it was still a beatdown. You want to know why? One thing that keeps coming up for me, the defensive activity has been outstanding from this team. They block a ton of shots. They are as aggressive in passing lanes and stealing the basketball as well as anyone. It wasn't even close. Just forcing turnovers and blocking shots on the defensive end, Oklahoma compared to Oklahoma State. And that showed early and inevitably separated the Sooners from the Cowgirls towards the end of this game. And they're just really good. Like they keep winning. I don't know that they're going to be slowing down anytime soon. SEC gets started on January 1st, if I remember correctly. They're going to play Texas A&M, and they've got another game coming up next Monday. Every reason to believe that this team, especially what they have shown, keeps it rolling. Good stuff from OU.
No doubt. First ranked win of the year. Thought NC State would be that. They fell out of the ranking after being in the top 10 preseason. But OSU playing good basketball, and this game was not close in the second half. They thumped them. So good stuff. Really good stuff, and a lot to be encouraged by from both teams. Obviously, SEC play just around the corner. We're kind of in the tail end of non-con play now. They Women don't play again until next Monday. Then they're off to SEC play. Men, like I said, have a few more of these kind of home games against lower competition, and they'll get on to conference play. And so I know obviously all the focus is on football right now, and for totally fair and valid reasons. They're in the college football playoff, but good stuff going on for both hoops teams, and we'll have the full coverage, obviously. And whenever football is done, we'll turn our full attention to hoops and be ready for what shaping up to, potentially be a fun season for both teams. Certainly the women. I mean, the top 10 right now. So a lot to be excited about there. I think that's it. So full show. We had a lot to talk about. We hadn't done a show in 8 days. So we had a lot to get through. We'll be back on Thursday. Collin, myself, and Tom Green. We're going to have the game preview show. Might be a little bit extended from normal, but probably, what you can come to expect. Huge game. And we're very excited. We're all going to be there on Friday night in Norman. Obviously, full coverage on the website right now, oklahoma.247sports.com. A lot more to come every single day. Availability reports, like we said, start tonight at 7 o'clock from the CFP. So keep an eye out for that. We'll have tons of coverage there. And, a lot going on. It's been a crazy week already and more to come. And I can't wait for Friday night, man. It's going to be unreal. Can't wait.
I'm looking forward to it, and perfect time to wrap up the pod because they have finally arrived to fix the burst pipe in my neighborhood. So
there you go.
Hopefully that sound is not picking up here on the show, but I'm out of here on that note, and I will actually have some decently flowing running water, which I'm excited about as well.
About time. That's it for now. We'll be back on Thursday with the game preview. For Collin Kennedy, I'm Josh Callaway signing off. See you next time right back here as always on Sooners Illustrated.